What's up, everybody? Welcome to ISO's third episode of Kitchen Diaries, where today we have a very special guest, our PR representative, Meg Borths, who will be making macarons. So Meg, how are you doing today?
Doing very well. Thank you, Jonathan, for asking. It's so exciting to be on the show today and get to cook for you guys. Actually, a common misconception is that they're not macaroons that I'm making today, because macaroons look like this. What I'm making today looks like this, which are macarons, a French little pastry dish.
Hey, sounds awesome. Well, Meg, if you're ready, I am.
Let's go.
Let's do it.
Hi guys, welcome to the kitchen, and here are the ingredients that you need to make the French macaron. You need about 2 cups worth of almond flour, 2/3 cups of sugar, 1 cup and 1.5 tablespoons of powdered sugar, 5 egg whites for what we are about to make here today. So for the cream cheese whipped filling that we're going to use for these macarons, you're going to need a dash of vanilla extract, 1.5 cups of whipping cream, 1 entire package of cream cheese, doesn't matter the brand, and about 1/2 cup of caster sugar. So for the first step, we're going to take the almond flour and the powdered sugar, and we're going to sift them together so that they're evenly mixed when we put them into the egg whites. So now I'm going to be putting the almond flour into the sifter. I'm going to mix it in with the powdered sugar so that we can have a mix of our dry ingredients. So we're doing this so that it doesn't clump when we mix it into the meringue, because you don't want there to be any lumps, because it will prevent it from being smooth and shiny in the end when it's cooking. Next, we'll be taking the egg and we'll be separating the yolk from the egg white, because we want to make a meringue for these cookies to be fluffy and soft and chewy. So now we're going to be separating the egg yolk from the egg white, and you would rather these to be at room temperature because it helps the meringue to fluff up better and faster. And I'm just separating them by tossing them between the eggshells. Be sure not to crack the yolk, because it will mess up the meringue and you will have to start from square one. So after you've mixed it, you want the meringue to be stiff peaks like this before you add in the dry ingredients. After mixing everything and getting stiff peaks, you'll know when it's ready when you can turn it upside down and nothing comes out. So now let's add in the dry ingredients. We're gonna add it in half and half. We're gonna do half of it, mix it, fold it, that's what I mean by mixing it, and then we're gonna mix in the other half so that it becomes a nice thick lava consistency. So now we're gonna add in half of the dry ingredients because we don't wanna overload this nice, very fragile meringue. So about half, there we go. And when we mix it, we're gonna fold it. So we're gonna take it from underneath in the middle. We're gonna go underneath in the middle. It looks awkward at first, but as you continue to go, it starts to emulsify together so it becomes thick like lava. So as you're mixing it, this is when you would want to include your food coloring, and you want to use specifically gel food coloring, because if you use liquid food coloring, the same rule applies as with the yolk. When you add in the liquid, it will deflate your meringue. So you have to use gel liquid food coloring, and you would use it right about now. So this is how it looks right now after I've mixed in the first half. So now we're going to add in the second half. And we're gonna do the same thing. We're gonna go underneath and through the middle. Underneath and through the middle. So as you can see, it's all coming together very nicely. Look at that. So we're gonna keep going until it liquefies more, because this is not what we want. We want it to flow off of it very nicely and pretty. It's still too thick. So the reason that we fold it is because we want to deflate some of that air that's in the meringue, but you gotta do it gently like this, because if you go too violent with it, too much air will come out of the meringue and the cookies will not fluff up and look pretty like they're supposed to. Okay, so now we're at that lava consistency where it's starting to flow off. You wanna grab a bunch, and then if you can start to form a figure 8, as soon as you can see the figure 8, that's when you know that you're done. You see how I'm forming a figure 8? Bam, we're done. You don't want to overfold it. Now we're gonna pour the mixture. Once it's ready, you can form the figure 8. You're gonna pour it into a piping bag, but because we don't have that, we're gonna use a Ziploc baggie. That's just as fine. And I'm using I'm using this as a cup so that it stays open so I don't make a mess. So now you just want to lift it out and you want to find a corner because this is how we're going to pipe it onto the paper. You want to pipe it about an inch wide, an inch of a dot, because they will kind of they will flatten out under their own weight, and then in the oven they're going to raise. So we're just going to cut a tiny little hole. Okay, that's it. I'm gonna pipe it now. I put batter underneath the corners of the paper to help it stay in place so it doesn't fly all over when it goes into the oven. Also, so it helps you pipe it onto the paper. So you want to squeeze it and then release pressure off of it. Okay, so now once you've piped them, you want to bang the air out of it because you don't want holes to come up when they're cooking. So to avoid noise, I'm going to do it on my knee. We're just going to get the air out of it. So after you've tapped out the air bubbles on your knee, you want to take a toothpick and get out the excess big bubbles like this so that they don't burst and make your meringue cookie look like a sugar cookie. Okay, so while you're doing all that, making your meringue, you want to preheat the oven. This really depends on the kind of oven that you own, if it's old, if it's new, if it has convection or not. So what we're gonna do here today is we have preheated the oven to 325. We're gonna put it in the oven with the door open for about 2 minutes. Then we're gonna lower the heat to about 275 and cook it for another 10 to 12 minutes, just depending on how well done the cookies look, because we don't wanna make them too crunchy. Okay, so after you've finished popping all the little baby holes in here, you do not want to put it in the oven. You want to wait for them to set. This is all based off preference for me. I personally like to set my macarons to where they're dry, that when you touch them, it's not sticky at all. It creates a little film before you put it in the oven because it helps to keep that shell when it rises. So now we're going to put it in the oven. It's at 325 right now. And we're gonna leave the doors cracked for 2 minutes, and then we're gonna shut it and then cook it at 275 for 10 minutes. So now we're gonna do the cream cheese whipped filling. We're gonna use 1 package of 8-ounce cream cheese, half a cup of sugar, 1 whole cup of whipping cream. Let's go. You want it to be soft and malleable at more room temperature. Add it. So now we just want to whip this up before we add in the whipping cream. So now after we've whipped it up just a little bit, we're going to add in the sugar just a little bit at a time, because just like the meringue, we don't want to overdo it. Also, because the cream cheese is so thick, it's going to be hard to mix it all in if you dump it all in at the same time. So now we're going to add in the whipping cream. I'm going to do it half cup at a time. So here's half a cup. Now we're gonna add the second half of the whipping cream. I'm gonna add in the rest of the sugar now. So after you've whipped up everything together, it's gonna look just like the meringue did, stiff peaks, just like this. So now we're just gonna put it in the baggie like we did for the shell topping, so that we can pipe it in between the shells and make the official macaroon cookie. So just like with the batter, we're gonna lift it out and we're gonna cut a corner so we can pipe the filling into the cookies. After you pipe them, the last thing you do is you sandwich them together and make them look like a perfect little cookie. And there we go. We have a perfect little macaron, the French method.
All right, man, these look amazing. Do you mind if I try one?
Yeah, go ahead. They're really great.
Let's do it. Oh my God, Meg, these are amazing.
Yeah, I know, right? Thank you so much.
So what inspired you to make macarons?
So I knew that they were a challenge, and I like a challenge. And we had a lot of time over quarantine, so I took on the challenge and I conquered it.
Well, Meg, you have definitely completed this challenge. This is the 3rd episode of the ISO's Kitchen Diaries. Make sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel and be on the lookout for future episodes.
Like
See y'all
this
later.
video.